One.
We are live.
We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Episode 100. Episode 100. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 100. Pew, 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 pew. Fireworks, lightning, crowd. Large crowd in the background. Thank you for coming, everybody. Oh my gosh, we're so excited about episode 100. Woo! We made it. We made it. To all those haters that didn't say anything. You know what? Mom, I made it. Can you pick me up? Pick me up at 6 still? Okay. Guys, we are here. It's episode 100. Check. Producer Tim is on it, on top of it. We took last week off so to let all you losers catch up a little bit. those people that never made it to episode 7, never made it to episode 10. But you know what, Mom? We made it. Tim, we made it.
Okay. All right.
Tim lost something.
Woo. No, I thought my mic wasn't working.
I'm about to say only one of us are allowed to lose our marbles, and that's me.
We're all good. Tech is all checks out.
So, guys, really appreciate you enjoying the podcast, watching the podcast. Those who watch it live, really appreciate that. Those who make it to the end, got something special for you at the end of this podcast. Don't know what it is yet, but it's something special. Guys, yeah, we are really happy to be here. Episode 100. What can we say? We've made it.
We have a cake
crazy
to commemorate.
We do.
It's imaginary, but we do have a 100 anniversary cake, 100 episode anniversary cake. That was our intention. We were going to do some really special stuff for number 100, and it's only in our imagination. So just imagine that there's a big cake here.
If the thought really does count, it counts a lot.
It counts a lot.
We had a lot of thoughts.
We
thought about doing a lot of things. And then we did none of them.
We did none of them.
We did absolutely none of them.
Guests.
You know what? We're here.
Bobby Lee is going to be on the podcast with us.
We didn't have time for him. We couldn't put him in. Very, very busy schedule here on the podcast, as you can see. Very busy.
I have promised that we will have guests on our podcast, but at some point we're going to have to deliver on those promises. We got to figure out some technical things right now, unless they could sit back here. I guess if they could sit back here, we could put somebody there, but we need another mic. We can't use, our current system doesn't allow 3 mics.
The best kind of promise is a broken promise. Clip it. Next one's going to cost you. That one's free.
Oh, didn't I bring a CD over here? Big news since we're on the podcast.
Episode 100 is going to be full of it, guys. You just brace yourself.
This album, my most recent album, Raised in South Dakota, charted number 12 on the Billboard Blues charts. So I'm so excited about that. Thank you. All praise and honor go to my Lord and Savior, because without him I could do nothing. So thank you, Lord.
And if you do listen to the last song, just keep listening. As the music fades away, you can admit that he was adopted. He's really from Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm pretending to be raised in South Dakota. And the previous album that also charted, Born in South Dakota, I really wasn't born there. Again, Minnesota.
He's the worst kind. He's the worst kind of American. He's Canadian.
So, if you want to get the album on CD or vinyl, it is available. Just go to my website, thetimwolf.com, and you can avail yourself of that opportunity. And I'm already starting my next project.
Avail. That is also the word of the day. Avail.
So I've already sent an email to my co-producer and try. Let's get a date to get all the guys together that played on Raised in South Dakota, and book a date at Sony Studio in early January, and do what I'm thinking. So, Born in South Dakota came out last year. Raised in South Dakota just came out like 2 weeks ago. And then the third, everything has to be in threes, right? So, what would be the name?
Wanted in South Dakota.
Wanted in South Dakota?
Tim had a bad late high school phase. Wanted in South Dakota.
That actually might work. That actually might be cool. Wanted in South Dakota. What do you think? What should be the name of the third album on my trio of albums, blank in South Dakota? So we have Born in South Dakota, Raised in South Dakota. Now what should be next?
Not everybody from South Dakota is a farmer, but I happen to be.
What did you say? Arrested? No.
Wanted in South
South
Dakota.
Dakota.
Because you can play it off as not being wanted in handcuffs, but like it's wanted.
Absolutely. More than one
because
meaning.
you were
Double meaning. Double meaning. Double meaning.
You were wanted there. That's what pulled you back to South Dakota after your
yes.
later on.
We
in
might have
life.
solved the riddle of what to call my third album, Wanted in South Dakota. Yeah, I did come back.
Might have felt a little bit like jail at times.
Oh. Well, we've talked a little bit about that. That was some of the toughest years of my life when I came home to take over my dad's farm. No
There's probably
doubt.
some good songs in there. There's probably some good
no
songs
doubt
in that
some
trauma.
of the toughest years of my life. We didn't see eye to eye, and that's understating it. But I mean, we made up toward the end, and before he passed, and we loved each other, and I miss him. I had a dream about my dad last night. Actually, we were working, because that's how we shared. That's how we bonded. We worked so much, and we were working. And he was driving a truck, and I was on the passenger side, and we were laughing and joking, the good old times. And it was, I woke up and I was like, when you wake up,
He had the best laugh.
He did. When you wake up and it's a dream, and you're trying desperately to grab onto it and remember it and fading from your mind. And that's how it was this morning when I woke up this morning. And I knew it was a dream. And I'm like, please, how do I want to recapture this. I want to record this. I want to capture this feeling of being with my dad again and working, which is how we bonded. I mean, he was the hardest working man in the neighborhood, and everybody said so at his funeral. Except one neighbor who was jealous. Keith said, was heard saying, I didn't hear him, but a friend of mine told me, he said, do you suppose there's some money in that casket? It was out at the grave service. He said, do you suppose they got money in that casket? And laughed, and nobody laughed. So.
I love that. I love that nobody laughed.
Because my dad did when farming was hard, I think in the 80s, I'd say, and a lot of land was going up for sale. A lot of farmers were going under. But remember, there was a movie that came out about how they were losing the farm. My dad loved that movie. Had it on VCR, and it had some big stars in it. I can't remember their names now, but it was exhibiting, farmer life and the banker calling your loan and all that sort of thing. It was a very tragic movie. My dad loved that movie. And in that time frame, my dad was able to keep his head above water, and he knew the land was so cheap. He bought a lot of land.
Is that when he bought probably a majority of the land?
I think that's where he bought a lot of the land that expanded. I mean, he had land already, but when he expanded a lot, and he even got me in on it. I even bought land during that time. And because he said, I had a job, I was living on the East Coast, and he said, you ought to buy some of this land. And I said, okay, let's do it. And I wouldn't have bought it without him, because he arranged it. He found it. He helped me introduce it to the bank, got the loan. And so he had balls of steel. Let's just face it.
Well, and any farmer would admit that he worked twice as hard as any farmer.
Yeah, that's what he said.
He told that story after he told that story of the farmer seeing him.
Yeah, multiple people
going to
told
bed,
me, neighbors, and these are not lazy farmers. They told me that they get up like usually at 6 a.m, and they'd look out the window and they could see my dad's field, and he's already out there in the field. You could see his lights. It's still dark, and they'd go to bed after the evening news at 10:30, at night or 11 or whenever we go to bed, they look out the window. My dad's lights are still on the field. He could survive in 4 hours of sleep. So he did all this by hard work. There were people who were jealous. He was one of them, apparently. So you would never know my dad had a lot of land and was land wealthy. I mean, his wallet. You try to open his wallet, it would squeak so bad. When metaphorically speaking, of course.
Well, he's not. If that was, I mean, I guess that was supposed to be a dig at Grandpa saying, "Is there any money in there?" It's got to sound like a compliment to me.
You know what? You know what the neighbor told me? You know what the neighbor told me? He said, or somebody posted on Facebook. I remember Steve posted it. Another neighbor, he said, I don't think if he could be buried with anything, he'd want to be buried with his deer rifle. That's what he would want to be buried with. He wouldn't want to be buried with, because my dad loved hunting. He loved going deer hunting. He was a crack shot too. And he continued hunting even when his hunting buddies stopped doing it because they were older. He wasn't going to let it stop him. He continued to hunt well into his 80s and bagging bucks and things. And then, of course, you got to drag them because sometimes you can't get them right to the pickup and you got to drag them a ways. And he was able to do that. Quite strong and able, well into his mid 80s.
Confession. There was a decent amount of money in the casket. I took it out and replaced it with a check.
Oh, here's a congratulations. Ninette Maxwell, thank you, Ninette. Hope I pronounced your name right. Ninette, probably. Put her on the screen. I missed that one, so it's a little bit delayed. I hope you're still watching.
Episode 100.
Yeah, episode 100.
Next episode's the Dalmatian episode. 100.
We should wear Dalmatian outfits, Dalmatian shirts. Can we get them?
Shirts? Sure. Yeah, we can. This is us planning to do something again. We're not going to
we don't do anything for the 100th, but we do it for the 101st. We're going to do something for the 101st. That would be my style. I remember, okay, so you graduate high school, and what would be the most significant high school reunions that you would want to go to? Now, my school is one of the only schools in the country that has a reunion every year. The Little Lake has a reunion every year.
Well, ain't much to do, so. This is South Dakota.
Hold that thought. I'm going to come back to it. So I covered. We're going to come back to that thought. But so on this album, I covered Chris Stapleton, who I admired greatly for his songwriting. And he wrote a song with 3 other guys called South Dakota. And once I heard that song, I didn't even know it existed because I was waiting in line at Grimey's, which is a record store in East Nashville. And they also have, below that, they have Nashville, what's it called? Nashville East, the venue underneath. And no, that's not what it's called. But anyway, I'll think of the name anyway. So there's a venue underneath it. But anyway, on this, and they sell records and vinyl. And on the wall, they had murals of recent albums. And Chris Stapleton, I was waiting there to see Marcus King, who another guy I love. And I was going to get his, and I did. I did have about 5 minutes with him, and I have some selfies with him. He signed my CD. And anyway, I'm waiting. The line went around outside, and I'm waiting. I look up at the mural, and there's a mural from the most recent album from Chris Stapleton. And it lists the songs that were on that album. And I noticed that one of the songs was entitled South Dakota. And I'm like, what the heck? Chris Stapleton has a song entitled South Dakota. He also has one entitled Arkansas, something to do with Arkansas. I don't remember if it's just Arkansas, but there is a song. So apparently he must get inspiration from different states.
He watches the podcast.
Yes. Anyhow, so I looked up that song and we covered it, and I'm very proud of the version that we did. And I played it for my nephew, this guy. And one of the lines is, I'm in South Dakota, trouble ain't hard to find. And and you completely disagreed with that. Remember when we played it? Maybe you don't remember. You said,
Probably, yeah, I remember
there ain't
that.
nothing going on in South Dakota. You can't find trouble in South Dakota. That was your reaction. So you're saying that you were saying that Chris Stapleton is a bad songwriter? Is that what you were saying?
No, but do you think? But does he staple a little bit? No, he staples a ton.
Anyway, someone else told me, and I couldn't find anything about this online because I Googled it, but someone else told me, because it's a dark song. The first verse goes, Lord, this morning when I woke up, I wanted that whiskey in my coffee cup. Had last night ringing in my head, telling me I ought to go back to bed. And
Yeah,
then
stay in
the
your
chorus
whiskey
is,
lane.
then it's, I'm in South Dakota. Trouble ain't hard to find.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That line's really good. The way he does South Dakota is really good. I'm in South Dakota.
Trouble ain't hard to find. And when I played it for you. So someone told me, and I haven't been able to verify this, but someone told me that song was written when he was at the bottom of his alcoholism. And that would track, because he was saying he was having difficulty. And now I think he's sober. I think he's kicked alcohol. I don't know, in fact, but that song would make a lot more sense if it was when he was struggling. So then the last verse goes, I'm staring down the devil and I'm scared to death. You know, nothing is everything I got left. Oh, so he starts with, the nights are long and the days are cold. Staying alive is getting old. You know, he was depressed, apparently, according to the song. Nothing is everything I got left. I'm staring down the devil and I'm scared to death. I'm in South Dakota. And it would track that if when he wrote that he was struggling with depression and alcoholism. And but I don't know for a fact that was the backstory. But I covered it word for word, even though, I don't drink coffee in my coffee cup, and I don't.
One there in that song for sure. He wasn't staring down the devil. The devil's not in South Dakota. Everybody knows the devil is in either DC or California. Maybe it's a lookalike. It was a lookalike.
Anyway, so all right, let me check, see any more comments.
Comments, bring all your comments here to No Sugar,
yes.
No Cream. For the next 100 episodes, we will be changing our name to A Little Bit of Sugar, A Little Bit of Cream. Okay,
we were talking about something else. I said put a pin in it. What was that subject? Now I can't remember.
A joke I made about something. I made a joke about something you were gonna. Can't remember what it was.
Lost your train of thought. Neither of us can retrack it. So
it's gone. We don't have a train. We don't have a train or thought. No, that's a different.
That's
kind of
gone
train.
forever. That's gone forever. I was talking about
all aboard. Sorry.
Yeah, so the next album, Wanted in South Dakota.
Wanted in South Dakota. It has a good ring to it.
Has a good ring to it. Maybe that'll be the third in the trilogy. Make a trilogy. Trilogies are a good thing, right? You can't just stop at two, right? Trilogies. I mean, there are 3 Godfathers. Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Godfather 3. There are 3 original Star Wars until they completely lost their minds.
You don't give a crap about Star Wars. You said that like you cared. You don't give a crap. That was cute, though. I love the way you looked at the side of the side. You looked to the side like, is he gonna call me out? Is he gonna call me out?
No, I do give a crap about Star Wars. The first 2, 3, the first 3. I saw them in the movie theaters. I'm old enough to have gone to movie theaters when they were in the movie theaters. And I'll never forget going to 2, which is now 5. And Luke, I'm your father. We were shocked out of our minds that was the ending of Star Wars 2. Shocked out of our minds. I don't remember what it was called. They had different names.
Where were they? Where were they when he tells him he's his father?
Well, they were fighting. They were fighting somewhere in the.
Yeah, they were hanging. He was hanging outside the destroyer.
Yeah.
He'd already cut off his arm at that point.
Probably had, yeah.
His hand.
I'm your father. We were dumbfounded.
But Dad, give me a hand. Don't take a hand.
So I was very much invested. I thought it was wonderful. And I did go because normally then what is now called 1, 2, and 3 came out usually around Christmas. And we went to see each of those because we were all together for family. And we would go usually to Watertown because we'd go to the farm in South Dakota. And we would usually see those. I think we saw all 3 of those in Watertown, South Dakota in the theater. Didn't we?
Yeah, because they came out around Christmas, right?
Came around Christmas, and we would tell the whole family, "We're leaving. We're going to town. We're going to watch a movie." We might have seen 1 or 2 of them in Huron because Huron's closer. Do you have a distinct memory?
Huron, usually Watertown is where we went, but yeah, we went to Huron a little bit, but yeah, I know for the most part Watertown. Because you even might have had a house back then.
I did have a house in Watertown in the later years. The later part of that. When did those come out? Let's check the years. When did those?
2000s, early 2000s.
Well, I didn't have my Watertown house then yet. I didn't get my Watertown house till 2015.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was living in Willow Lake at the time. Willow Lake.
Good old Willow Lake, man.
Great fish in there.
When's
I'm
the
told.
last time
I'm
you
not
were-
a fishing guy, but
When's the last time you were in Willow Lake?
yeah, I'm going to South Dakota this September, October. I'll be in South Dakota in September. I'm looking up some old friends.
Careful.
And
Trouble ain't hard to find.
trouble ain't hard to find in South Dakota. That's what Chris says anyway. Chris Stapleton. So yeah, I covered that. I think I was talking about covering it, and so I just thought it fit really well to be on my album "Raised in South Dakota," and it's a very bluesy. Well, I think we did it even bluesier than Chris Stapleton did. I think he's still a country artist primarily, but we really made it bluesy. So check it out. It's on streaming. South Dakota, Tim Wolf cover of Chris Stapleton, South Dakota, and I don't think that was a single. So not a lot of people didn't even know that's a Chris Stapleton song. In fact, my band played with a couple guys from Nashville, and they learned all the songs. They didn't know that was a Chris Stapleton tune, and they played on Broadway a lot. And they say they find out about my buddies who play cover gigs say they find out, like my buddy Jimmy. He said he found out about Zach Top, who's a new recent country artist who could just kill on guitar. Have you heard of Zach Top?
Yeah, I feel like that sounds familiar. Like you,
You seen Zach Top play?
No.
Liar. Zach Top came out at the Marcus King concert and did a song with Marcus King. You didn't remember it. That's fine. I mean, you didn't go to an official Zach Top concert, but you did see him play as a guest. It ain't bad.
Just if anybody's curious, Tim has a different definition of liar than most people.
Well, stating an
the worst part is
stating an untruth is a lie, isn't it?
No.
Isn't it?
You can't accidentally lie. When you lie, you know you're lying.
If you state an untruth, that's a lie. Yeah, I get you. You know, if you don't remember, for example, something, let's say you're 80 years old and something happened, you were a teenager and you can't remember it, and there's a picture of it, and you say, no, that didn't happen. And then somebody shows you a picture, like, oh, I guess I lied. No, you didn't lie because you just didn't remember. So it's unfair. It's unfair for me to, I retract that. That was not a lie.
No, the funny part is you always say you're lying. Like the amount of times that Tim has said, I lied. He didn't really lie. He just
misremembered or didn't remember.
Yeah, didn't remember.
My dad, I guess I did, and I don't live up to my dad's standard in that regard, but my dad, I don't remember him ever telling a lie. I mean, and that's
no, he would get lied to, like at Walmart. It's been long enough. Can we hear that story again? I love that story. Episode 100. We got to get one Harold story.
Okay.
It's been
so
quite
my
a while.
dad was a character.
Yeah.
And
if you've heard this story before, enjoy. If you haven't, this is a very good story. This is one of my
this was
favorite.
when he was in his 80s. And
Yeah.
he would also always drive diesel because he was a farmer. So he loved diesel tractors and he loved diesel cars. And there was a period of time when diesel cars were common. And he had what was his German car that was a diesel? Because the Germans made diesel cars, but then they stopped. You could get a diesel Mercedes and what was the company? Jetta, Volkswagen Jetta. Wasn't a Jetta, or it was a Volkswagen, whether it was a Jetta. He had a Jetta and then he had another model of a Volkswagen. And they had diesel engines in them. You don't have to tune them up with spark plugs and all that. They don't have spark plugs. And he would take it to Walmart and have them change the oil. But the thing about it is he would bring his own oil, his own filter. I mean, I got to believe, first of all, I would never have the cojones go into Walmart, into their service bay, say, I want you to change my oil, but I want you to use the oil I'm bringing. First of all, there's probably a liability. I mean, what if something goes wrong and then, well, we couldn't verify that your oil was any good? I wonder, could you think you could do that? You go to Nashville and use them here nearby. Do you think they'd let you use your own oil?
Probably a lot of places wouldn't. Yeah, probably.
I don't think most places would. But it was South Dakota, Huron, South Dakota, small town, and everybody knew everybody. So my dad would come and he'd bring his own oil and his own filter. I don't know where he got it, but he probably. How would you get it any cheaper than from Walmart?
Got it for free at a deal from with the one spot he always goes.
Menards.
Menards, yeah.
Save big money at Menards. Anyway, so we go, and I'm with him that day. I don't know why, but I was there, and I'm with him. They have a little waiting area, and I'm waiting there, and he goes up and he says, "Can you change my oil?" And I have my own oil and filter, and the guy behind the counter says, my dad says, "How much would that be?" And he says, $12 to $15. And I to this day wonder why he gave a range. Anyway, he gave a range. He didn't give a specific number. And so, they changed the oil, and then it's time to pay. And I'm again sitting in the waiting area. And my dad said, "How much is that?" And the guy says, $14.99. And my dad heard 12. He said 12 to 15. My dad heard the lower number. And my dad starts screaming, "You lie! You lie! You said 12. And then the man behind the counter goes, this is the strangest part of it all. He says, "Harold, you do this every time." So this must be maybe that guy was baiting him by giving him a range because he knew it would lose it. And then Dad says, "I'm never coming back here again." And the guy behind the counter says, "Harold, that would be fine."
I can imagine so visually just because I know the northern South Dakota accent, real slow talking. That Harold, that'll be fine. That'll be fine, Harold.
You never come back here again. That'll be fine. And he all the way home, he huffed and puffed about that. And I said nothing, of course, but I'm like, "Dad, first of all, how do you have big enough cojones to even ask them to change your oil and not use their oil?" That's why they do that. That's why Walmart early on didn't have service bays, right? I mean, they added that later. They didn't have groceries either early on. I mean, groceries got added. And I got to believe that the only reason they added the service bay is so that they could sell more tires and oil and those sort of things. So that's my dad. He was a special one.
For $3.
He was a special one, Yeah, and the man is worth millions and millions of dollars because he bought so much land. But there's an example of his wallet being so tight. He lived through the Depression. Well, he was young, but he was born at 29. So, the 30s, he was like single digits. But I'm sure those were tough years. So we're so blessed today. I mean, compared to, back in South Dakota, and it's partially because of conservation. They didn't know how to conserve their land. they would till the land. And the 30s, not only was there a depression across the country, but in the Dakotas, they call it the dirty 30s, there was so much drought and all the land dried up, and they didn't have conservation measures like wind belts and strips of grass to prevent. And so the wind would come up, and the wind does blow in South Dakota, and it would blow the dust, the soil, so bad you couldn't even see sometimes. Sometimes it'd block out the sun. It'd be dark like night, I've heard. And you go into old houses that were already standing at that time, and if you open them up and go in the walls, they didn't even have sheetrock, but it was before sheetrock. The plaster, you pull the plaster down, there'll be like 2 feet of dirt in the bottom of the walls in that area in between the studs, because the dirt that was blowing so much that it was blown into the walls. And horrible times. Not only the depression, 25% unemployment, but farmers struggling to survive. And those are tough times. And their conservation efforts. Since then, there's a conservation effort as a Department of Ag, and they spend a lot of time and effort on conservation. And they pay you to have grass strips and shelter belts and trees surrounding your property and to break wind. And that is a response to that horrible decade. I don't know if it was all the full 30s, but it's known in that area as the dirty 30s because the stories I heard, worst case, blew so bad it blotted out the sun. You thought it was night. It's the middle of the day. Nasty stuff.
And nowadays, there's a good amount of farmers that would you say that are millionaires from farming, huh?
No, I wouldn't say yes. Yes, if you own the land is worth a lot. But there's today in farming, you can't just say graduate high school and say, I'm going to be a farmer. No, it's all family. It's probably land that your great grandfather bought. And those are the people who are the farmers. And the amount of people it needs to farm an acre of ground is going down and down. In fact, I met with one of our mentors that came, he's from South Dakota, and he came here. His daughter goes to school here, and he comes periodically, rents some of our ground in South Dakota. And I really enjoy meeting with him. We have a lot of similar interests. Anyway, and I asked him about self-driving tractors, and he says not that far away. So around 2008, I remember that year specifically, something called auto steer came on, where GPS was sharp enough that it could go on your tractor and your combine if you paid for it and then paid for the subscription for the GPS, that it could guide your implement down the field. And it made the straightest rows. Farmers try to compete with each other who can make the straightest corn rows when you're planting. We ain't ever going to be straighter than a GPS directed,
AI wins again.
AI wins again. And the only thing is you had to be in the tractor, because when you got to the end of the field, it couldn't move itself around. You had to take over control, lift the implement out of the ground, if you were planting or disking or plowing or whatever you were doing, and turn it around and set it on place, and then start it back up again. And then you could be scrolling your phone or looking behind to make sure that everything, because things plug up. Like if you're planning, you want to monitor what's going on behind you to make sure one row doesn't plug up or something. But it's a lot less stressful. Well, that's 2008. So, and a lot of farmers got that auto steer. Well, that's almost 20 years ago. If you already got auto steer, how much further do you have to go before you literally have it can turn itself around? Now, maybe it can turn itself around. I don't know. In 20 years, it's probably gotten to that point, but it hasn't gotten it. I asked Terry if there is such a thing. Like we have driverless taxis here now, Ubers in Nashville. It's not uncommon to see it. And we did in our former podcast how long it's going to be before there'll be no humans on the roads. And we had a date when it'll be 50-50, 50 humans and 50 robot. That was like, do you remember how many years that was? Like 30 years.
30 to 50 years.
30 to 50 years, it'll be about 50-50. But before it's completely phased out, where humans can't drive, won't be allowed to drive, that's going to be a while. But so we already have that on cars, and I would say that navigating traffic on highways with a robot is a heck of a lot more difficult than having an implement drive up and down a field where there's nobody else there for you to avoid. I mean, it's technically gotta be incredibly easier degree of difficulty. And he said they're not there yet, for the farming. And he said that, they're gonna get to where they can actually 'cause so now, the first step would be it'll do the field, but when it's done, you go out there and you have to take it to the next field because it can't transport itself, but they're really close to being able to do that. Because first of all, it's not the speed of a tractor is probably the fastest they go is 25, 30 miles an hour. Maybe some of them are going faster now. But, that's a whole different ballgame than controlling a vehicle going 75. You gotta be pretty fast. So, the degree of difficulty with controlling this farm implements, the technology is already there. It just hasn't been implemented yet, I guess. So, it's a matter of time, and it's very hard to get help. And, my farmer friend, it's nobody wants to work. That's why the only people you'll see roofing or working construction are Hispanics. And, there aren't very many Hispanics in South Dakota, so some people have South Africans come on a working visa. And the typical way they come for up to 10 months, they work during the busy time, and they go back to South Africa, visit their family, and they make really good money compared to what they can make there. And they come here, and they work for less, and they're very reliable workers. They work hard. Like Terry was saying, I have to get up early just to give them tasks because they just finish things so fast. I mean, and so that's a real boon to his operation because finding help. I remember when I farmed, it was so hard to get help. Nobody wants to sit in a tractor and drive. It's just boring, dusty, hot. Now we do have air conditioning, but it's still, it's not easy work.
Robots will be here before you know it.
Yeah, so
Crazy.
farmers will welcome them, and the average acres that a farmer operates are just skyrocketing because machinery is getting bigger. I remember so I quit farming in 2005, I think it was, and at that time, the widest combine platform head to use to bring in your grain was 30 like your soybean head or your wheat head, and that's pretty wide. It's got a sickle that goes like that, and that's pretty wide. And I think they started introducing 40 footers then, just as I stopped. 40 footers were coming on. Now, I don't know what it is now. And the wider you go, the more difficult it is to keep it flat and keep it operational. They're probably up to 50 now. And so that means that one operator can cover that much more ground and so on. So tractors are getting bigger, combines are getting bigger, trucks are getting bigger. It takes less, you only need one operator for each of those. So one person can handle so much more. And so the amount of people that's why in rural America where it's farming, there have a lot of schools are having difficulty with not enough kids because you don't have very many families there because you don't need many families to farm 1,000 acres, let's say, or whatever metric you use. How many adults does it take to farm 1,000 acres? That number compared to when my dad was in his heyday, when he was 30s to now, all the equipment is so much larger, so much. I remember the first 100 horsepower tractor we got. It was like 100 horsepower. Now I think they're 500, 600, maybe 700. Bigger, 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 bigger,
Way back
bigger.
100 horsepower, you'd have to have 100 horses.
Well, that's the equivalent, yeah. Horsepower is supposed to be the equivalent of the power of a horse. That's where it came from.
No.
But, I heard an analysis, so before there were tractors, you worked the fields with horses. And the cadence was so it'd be my dad's dad. The cadence was, those horses, you didn't wanna work them during the heat of the day, and they could only work for, like, so many hours, like 4 hours. And then you'd go take a break, put them in the barn, give it food, give them water, and you'd go in and, have dinner, maybe make love to your wife, that's added. Nobody talked like that. But you took a break, took a nap.
Noted that. Okay.
And then maybe later, after it's cooler in the afternoon, you go back out. You were limited by another living being. You couldn't overwork those horses. And then came the tractor, where as long as you could put fuel in the tank, you could keep going. And then they added lights to the tractor. That was my dad's era, where you weren't limited by how your horses had to rest. As long as you could put fuel in it and you had lights, you could keep going. And my dad could survive on 4 hours of sleep, and he utilized that. That's why the neighbors said they'd get up in the morning, he'd be out there. When they'd go to bed, he'd be out there. He took advantage of that, worked himself to death almost. But now,
I don't know. I'd say he worked himself to life.
Now, in fact, my farmer friend even said that. He said, you got to work smarter, not harder. That model. So there are 3 models. You got the model of the horses, where the cadence of your farm life is dictated by the horse. The horse has to recover. I don't think a horse could go. I don't know how long it could go, but I don't think you could have a horse out there working for 10 hours through the heat of the day. They'd probably collapse and faint. You'd probably get up daylight and maybe go 4 hours and then go back to the barn. Then the tractors came, but now the implements are so big. You got to be able to market your grain. You got to be good with futures, and you got to make strategic decisions and buy your inputs properly. And you got to work smart, not harder. So 3 different eras in a way in farming, and I think farmers would tend to agree with that, who've lived through that, and probably generations. Today's generation.
That's been your farm.
I'll never forget. I came back to take over my dad's farm, and I'm college educated, engineering degree, MBA. I'd been a director for a company in New York, and I had glommed on to the idea that yes, you have to work smarter. And I was focusing on learning new techniques. I started no-till. No-till is a big thing. You conserve the moisture. You don't till the ground. You just make an incision in the soil to drop your seed in, and that leaves that soil without disturbing it. There's new technology. My dad didn't know what to think of that, but then when he saw that the yields jumped, he approved it. But I would be in my office and I had my employees out working, and I remember family member, not like uncles and aunts or friends of my dad would call, and it'd be like 10 in the morning, and I'd answer the phone, and they'd be shocked that I was in the house before cell phones, or that I was by the phone. Oh, what are you doing in the house? Because that was not the norm. Farmers didn't. If the sun was shining, the farmers were not in the house except for lunch. 10 in the morning. What are you doing? You're by the phone. I was in my office actually, but you're by the phone. What? Something wrong? Are you lazy? Are you going to succeed? That was all in that. What are you doing in the house? Are you sick?
Well, hopefully maybe you want to be a farmer someday. That inspired you. That's your lesson on farming today. There'll be a small quiz at the end. It's multiple choice, of course, as usual. Yeah, episode 100, ladies and gentlemen.
Triple digits, baby.
Triple digits. Nothing but triple digits from here for a little while. But
900 more before we can go to 4 digits. Hope you're here for us, with us when we get there.
He might have been born in South Dakota, but he's well educated. He got himself a college degree.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean, 900. If we did one a day, we could do it in 3 years. One a day.
Let's do it.
Less than 3 years, 365 days a year, and we'd be through 900 probably about 2.5 years.
I'm gonna take a break tomorrow. Well, that about wraps it up for today, guys. That's about I'm there. Appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, episode 100. We're going to go enjoy our cake. Very yummy. I think Bob is making a surprise visit. Came back from vacation to wish us the best. Bob, great.
Thanks,
Rob,
Bob.
appreciate you. Bob, wake up. Bob.
Bob!
No one's there. No one's there. Guys, we love you very much. Thank you for being here for all 100 episodes.
Yeah.
And
Thank
if you haven't watched, feel free to go back and watch watch all 100. There's no issues with they all went perfectly. No errors whatsoever. No dead space. We're professionals. We got the hang of this.
Yeah, all joking aside, if you go back to the first 10, you'll see some primitive. For one, we were facing away from each other.
Speak for yourself. I can't pull that one off very well.
We were looking opposite directions. I was looking this way, and he was looking that way, and I was like, "What is wrong with you people?" Talking about us. Why would we put a podcast like that? And I don't remember some of the other. We should go back and watch number 1 and number 2 and number 3 just for yucks and giggles. And we're still improving. We're still getting better. I believe. I think we're getting better. We changed our camera recently. How many episodes have we done with the new camera?
About 10, I think.
About 10. I think the impact is much nicer, much more high resolution, I believe. And what else have we done? Oh, now I got the computer here where I can literally see comments and respond to them in real time. That's been maybe 20 episodes, maybe 30. I don't know. Back in the day, we couldn't do that. We just had to. I mean, it was like, duh. Why don't we do that? Well, the reason was we needed this box right here. We didn't have an interface, so we got this interface so that we could have our 2 mics. So slowly, it's mindset. Why don't you do this? Well, this is not difficult. Why don't we do it that way? And so that's what we did.
Not too bad.
And so
Tim always says he doesn't like the company, but I said I'm not going anywhere. We're going to just do it.
We're going to do it. So if you have any suggestions of things we could do or should do to improve, or ideas for podcasts, or ideas for things we could do for our second 100. Now we're on to our second 100. We got 100 under our belt, and we're going to do our second 100. We are going to start having guests. I promised at least 2 different people that they can be guests on our podcast.
I didn't approve this.
Yeah, I got to get approval from Seth. So he didn't approve it yet.
Good luck.
So
I'm quite the authority on my way or the highway.
So
we love you very much.
Yes.
We will see you next time. If you're on Facebook, feel free to share the podcast. We'd appreciate that. Follow us on Spotify, Apple. Also, we're on Instagram and Facebook. And check us out on YouTube. It's live there on YouTube every week. And check out our clips. Feel free to share our clips. Every once in a while, we think they're funny. We'll see you next time for episode 101, the Dalmatian episode.
Yes, sir.
Should be interesting. See you next time. Bye.
We're still on for some channels.
For some channels. Hello, some channels. We appreciate you, some channels. Not all channels, but some channels.
That's all you're going to say? YouTube and Facebook.
That's all I'm going to say is YouTube and Facebook.
We love you.